Plant densely, then thin smartly, maximizing your harvest through strategic planting. Welcome to the Smart Garden YouTube channel, where we transform ordinary gardens into extraordinary food production systems. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful techniques in your gardening arsenal, dense planting followed by strategic thinning. This approach can dramatically increase your yields while saving space, seeds, and time. Let's unlock the secrets that professional market gardeners use to maximize their harvests in limited spaces. Understanding the dense planting philosophy. Dense planting is counterintuitive to many beginning gardeners. We're often taught to follow the spacing guidelines on seed packets religiously, leaving enormous gaps between young plants. But nature doesn't work this way. Have you ever seen wild plants growing with perfect spacing? In natural ecosystems, plants grow in clusters, competing and cooperating to create resilient communities. By planting densely and thinning strategically, we mimic these natural processes while maintaining control over our garden's development. When you plant seeds closely together, you create a microclimate that benefits young seedlings. The clustered plants shade the soil, reducing water evaporation and suppressing weed growth. This close arrangement also provides mutual support against wind damage and creates humid pockets that many seedlings prefer. With dense planting, you're essentially creating a protective nursery environment for your young plants during their most vulnerable stage of development. Setting up for success. Bed preparation. Before you scatter a single seed, proper bed preparation is essential. Start by creating deeply worked, nutrient-rich soil beds. Double digging or broad forking your beds to a depth of 12 to 18 inches allows roots to penetrate deeply, accessing more nutrients and water. Mix in well-aged compost at a rate of about 2 to 3 inches across the surface, gently incorporating it into the top 6 inches of soil. This creates the ideal environment for dense plantings, with ample nutrients to support multiple plants in a confined space. Level your beds meticulously, removing any clumps or debris that might impede germination. For maximum success with dense planting, consider creating slightly raised beds with gently sloped sides. This design increases the planting surface area and improves drainage, critical factors when supporting numerous plants in close proximity. Water the bed thoroughly 24 hours before seeding to ensure consistent soil moisture without being waterlogged. The dense seeding technique. When seeding, aim for spacing that's approximately 1/4 to 1/3 the distance recommended on seed packets. For example, if carrots suggest 3-inch spacing, sow them roughly 1 inch apart. For larger vegetables like kale or broccoli, you might sow seeds 2 to 3 inches apart rather than the recommended 12 to 18 inches. Create furrows at the appropriate depth, generally 2 to 3 times the diameter of the seed, and distribute seeds evenly along the rows. For broadcast crops like lettuce or mesclun mixes, mix seeds with fine sand at a ratio of 1 to 10 seeds to sand to achieve more uniform distribution. Gently rake the seeds into the soil surface and tamp lightly to ensure good seed-to-soil contact. Cover with a thin layer of compost or vermiculite rather than garden soil to prevent crusting, which can inhibit germination in densely planted beds. Water with a fine mist or gentle shower to avoid displacing seeds. The art of strategic thinning. Thinning is where magic happens. This isn't merely removing excess plants, but harvesting them in stages to maximize your overall yield. Begin your first thinning when seedlings develop their first true leaves. During this initial thinning, aim to provide just enough space for continued growth without allowing full maturity. For root crops like beets or carrots, thin to about half the final recommended spacing at this stage. During the second thinning, which usually occurs 2 to 3 weeks later, harvest baby vegetables that have reached a usable size. Baby carrots, tender young beets, and infant lettuces command premium prices at farmers markets because of their delicate flavors and textures. By harvesting these as your thinning process, you've already generated a harvest long before your main crop matures. The remaining plants now have adequate space to develop to full size. Fine-tuning for different vegetables. Root vegetables require special attention when using the dense planting technique. For carrots, parsnips, and radishes, consider a 3-stage thinning approach. First, thin to 1 inch apart when seedlings reach 2 inches tall. 2 weeks later, thin to 2 inches apart, harvesting tender fingerling vegetables. Finally, allow the remaining plants to reach full maturity at proper spacing. Leafy greens thrive with dense planting. Sow lettuce, spinach, and Asian greens thickly. Then harvest outer leaves continuously from multiple plants, rather than removing entire plants. This cut-and-come-again approach maximizes production from a small space. For heading vegetables like cabbage or broccoli, your final thinning should leave only the strongest, most vigorous plants at full recommended spacing. A continuous harvest cycle. By mastering dense planting and strategic thinning, you transform your garden from producing occasional harvests to generating continuous yields. This method maximizes every square inch of your growing space while reducing waste and increasing the diversity of your harvests. Remember that timing is everything. Developing a thinning schedule specific to each vegetable type will ensure you're never overwhelmed with garden tasks or harvests. If you found this guide valuable for your garden planning, please subscribe to the Smart Garden YouTube channel for more innovative techniques that maximize your growing potential. Share this video with fellow gardeners who might benefit from these professional growing strategies. Until next time, happy gardening and abundant harvests to you all.